Today on Softeller Tech Briefs, we're comparing staff augmentation and managed services, what each model means, how they differ on cost, flexibility, and control, and how to choose the right approach for your IT needs. Today, companies of all sizes, from SMEs to large enterprises, rely heavily on IT infrastructure to keep day-to-day operations efficient. Depending on the industry and immediate needs, that may include cloud services, data warehouses, cybersecurity systems, hyper-converged infrastructure, or edge computing environments. Beyond infrastructure, organizations also need ongoing software work, system redesign, app modernization, and continuous improvement of critical applications. Once those pieces are in place, another need follows: technical support. Skilled professionals have to administer these systems so development and business processes stay uninterrupted. Because IT work requires specialization, many organizations choose either to add temporary expertise through staff augmentation or to outsource functions entirely to managed services providers. Understanding the difference between those models, their benefits and use cases, helps enterprises choose partners more effectively. What are staff augmentation and managed services? Staff augmentation and managed services are two distinct ways IT organizations outsource development and infrastructure work. People sometimes use the terms interchangeably, but their definitions point to different applications. Staff augmentation. Staff augmentation is an outsourcing strategy shorthanded IT firms use to temporarily expand an existing in-house team. External specialists are integrated into internal processes to support development projects until delivery is complete or contract obligations are met. It gives companies room to bring in specialized talent, for example, React Native developers, for a limited time when demand is high or the internal team has a skill gap. Staff augmentation firms act as third-party brokers between the enterprise and personnel, offering different cooperation models for different sectors and needs. Depending on staffing requirements and long-term goals, companies may choose traditional staff augmentation or a dedicated team model. Traditional augmentation focuses on filling specific vacant roles for a set period. Dedicated team augmentation builds a professional unit of development and operations experts who collaborate with the in-house team and report to internal project managers. Both models differ in how they recommend, manage, and oversee people. In both cases, the provider typically handles vetting and hiring, whether for software developers, analysts, designers, engineers, or DevOps professionals, and also supports onboarding into the client's work culture. By using staff augmentation, enterprises avoid many of the steep costs of permanent tech staffing. The provider usually takes on employer-style obligations such as benefits, training, performance evaluation, and related administration. Managed services. Managed services are solutions enterprises use to develop, support, and maintain IT infrastructure over an extended period through an external provider, usually under a service-level agreement. Managed services providers, or MSPs, cover functions such as troubleshooting, security management, data backup and recovery, and round-the-clock monitoring and support. This approach, outsourcing entire projects or infrastructure maintenance, is common among companies without an internal IT team, or whose core teams are focused on other strategic work. Managed services grew as virtualization and cloud technologies became more established. As IT environments grew more complex, companies began outsourcing network management, data security, and similar responsibilities to third parties, gaining specialized expertise at lower cost and with greater operational efficiency. Managed services versus staff augmentation. A comparative analysis. Both models address overlapping customer needs, but their service models differ. Let's compare them on cost, flexibility, and control. Costs. Temporarily augmenting staff can be substantially more economical than hiring managed services in some situations. Managed services can still be cost-efficient, but depending on the functions outsourced, one option may be more prudent than the other. Staff augmentation helps maximize budgets on short-term or fixed projects because companies pay for the period of contribution. That makes it especially suitable for small and mid-sized businesses with limited budgets and temporary IT needs. A core component of managed services is the service-level agreement. That document defines payment structures, service responsibilities, and performance standards. Because managed services are typically long-term, they often involve a more consistent investment, either a fixed fee or recurring subscriptions. Those options may look more expensive at first, but long-term benefits for security and operations often become clearer over time. Flexibility. Compared with traditional hiring, both models are flexible, but not to the same degree. Staff augmentation lets organizations selectively scale specific functions and operations as needed, and new people can join the existing team quickly. Managed services are usually less flexible. Terms of engagement are often set before work begins and may remain relatively fixed because of the long-term nature of the offering. Level of control. The client's involvement differs sharply between the models. With augmentation, clients typically retain meaningful control. They influence timelines, tasks, and how deeply the external team participates. Managed services take a more holistic approach. The provider is largely responsible for executing and delivering the service commitments. That reduced day-to-day liability for the client comes with a trade-off. Organizations must give up substantial oversight and trust the MSP to keep systems in good condition. Advantages of staff augmentation. Access to specialized technical talent. Software initiatives often create workload spikes that demand more skilled capacity. Staff augmentation supplies that talent, including skills such as .NET development, with less recruitment friction. Providers handle vetting and interviewing and present a candidate pool for the client to choose from. Risk mitigation. Some technical functions are too sensitive to leave to in-house people who lack the required specialization. Augmentation reduces mismatch risk by supplying teams experienced in the relevant areas of development and delivery, lowering the chance of costly errors. Cost savings. Permanent hiring brings salaries, benefits, bonuses, insurance, and related costs. When specialized skills are scarce, keeping those people on payroll permanently can be especially expensive. Augmentation providers help companies work around those constraints by covering workspaces, equipment, and market rate compensation for augmented staff. Increased client customization and control. This is one of the clearest contrasts with managed services. In a managed model, customization is largely bounded by the SLA. With staff augmentation, the client has more freedom over who joins the team and which resources and processes are used to deliver the work. Faster onboarding and time to market. When expertise is needed quickly, augmentation can shorten recruiting, training, and integration. Because specialists already have relevant skills, they can contribute earlier, accelerating time to market for the product or application. Advantages of managed services. Proactive maintenance. MSPs often provide preemptive management and ongoing maintenance of IT systems. To keep critical infrastructure running, providers typically monitor systems continuously and offer comprehensive support. If a failure occurs, their responsibility is to contain impact and restore operations. Focus on core business initiatives. Outside pure tech companies, IT operations are often not the core business. Delegating that work to MSPs with the right capacity and competence can free internal teams for more strategic and innovative priorities. Cost predictability. Managed services help companies manage resources through a more predictable pricing structure. Fixed payment or subscription models make it easier to budget IT support fees over time. Improved security and compliance. Managed services typically prioritize cybersecurity and data protection. Providers implement security measures such as encryption, malware prevention, and firewall management. Depending on the SLA, they may also run regular audits to keep systems updated and aligned with industry standards. Things to consider before choosing an outsourcing model. The right choice depends on service scope, skill requirements, budget, and the level of oversight you need. Service scope. Staff augmentation fills specific skill gaps in an existing team, which fits short-term projects with flexible staffing needs. Managed services are better suited to ongoing, long-term work that requires continuous IT support and maintenance. Skill requirements. Periodic needs in software development, interface design, or microservices often benefit more from staff augmentation. Work that requires specialists across multiple IT disciplines may be better served by a managed services provider. Budget constraints. Team augmentation often involves upfront costs for recruitment, training, and onboarding. Managed services usually involve a retainer or recurring subscription. Neither structure is inherently inferior, but you should evaluate project lifecycle and SLA details carefully to avoid unexpected charges. Level of oversight. With staff augmentation, the provider supplies the team while the client can retain full direction of the project if desired. With managed services, the MSP takes responsibility for staffing, resource management, and system performance under the SLA. Closing takeaway. Choosing between staff augmentation and managed services comes down to project needs, internal capabilities, and strategic goals. Staff augmentation is a flexible way to strengthen your team with skilled professionals while keeping control and filling specific talent gaps. Managed services offer a more comprehensive approach, with an external provider managing entire functions or projects and supplying expertise beyond your current scope. Both can improve operational efficiency. The key is assessing your situation, requirements, and long-term objectives carefully before you commit. If you'd like to learn more about software development, AI, cloud, data engineering, and digital transformation, visit us at softeller.com.